Good morning. How are you today, Sam? I feel okay again. It's all rather good. I won't be taking my tablets today because my platelet count went down to 60 something. And normally when it gets to about 100 they start freaking out, so it's a bit low at the moment. That just stops my blood from clotting basically. Can make you tired as well. So I'm not going to take my tablets until I've had my bloods taken and the doctor's had a look at the results. I may end up taking iron. How else are you? Fine. Just been to get some dog food, walk the dogs. It's the strangest experience walking the dogs in the morning. That's when all the thoughts come in. I mean, the rest of the day you just spend bored out of your head, trying to fill your time, reading or whatever. But when you're in the woods, it really, that's your time to think about the whole thing. And I guess it's just the idea of mortality, isn't it? And the only difference right now is that we all sort of sit down to play this game of cards with the fucking Grim Reaper or something at some point. Or if you're Bill and Ted, then you end up playing Twister or something. But the only difference is I've seen the first card. It's like it's on the table. And it's quite a high card as well, you know, it's like a jack or something. And there it is. See, you cannot help thinking, you know, what if I lose this game? What if? And that's when all the sort of poor me, sad thoughts come in. But actually, no, not really. What it causes you to do on a more intense level is to just reflect more deeply on things that we all know, we just ignore. Okay, we teach a poem at school, so all of you who anyway, it's a Shelley poem. Shelley was a genius, and if you don't know any Shelley, I thoroughly recommend you read him. He was a big socialist, and one of my favourite poems of his was The Leech Collector. This guy makes a living out of collecting leeches. You know, I mean, I know people are poor these days, but that's really shit poor. Like collecting fucking leeches. At least I'm not doing that. Anyway, he wrote this. His most famous poem is Ozymandias. If you don't know it, I recommend you read it. Because at the end of the day, it's just about being humble and modest. Okay. It starts off with this guy who meets this traveller from an antique land, and this guy directs him in the towards a statue, two trunkless legs of stone, and besides the shattered visage lies. So there's the face of this king who was once called Ozymandias, and he goes on about how this king must have been really nasty because the sculpture well those passions read, and the hand that mocked them, and the heart that fed. And then it finishes off. So you've got this statue in the desert. There's nothing else there, and it's this once mighty, powerful king called Ozymandias. And it finishes off. So on the pedestal, these words appear: "My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair." And then, of course, nothing beside remained. Okay. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. Isn't that wonderful? So yeah, maybe. Give it a read. I was listening to Brian Cox yesterday. It sort of alerted me to that. If you've not seen Brian Cox speak to Joe Rogan, I recommend it, or just Brian Cox speaking generally, or if you listen to the Infinite Monkey Cage, that's also really rather good. And these thoughts, they're not depressing at all, they're actually very life-affirming. You know, Brian Cox talks about the extraordinary rarity of life anyway, and then the complexity of life as it is at the moment, and human nature and humanity is just so, it's not just precious to us, it's precious to the fucking universe. He describes it, the terrifying size of the cosmos, and it is. We are so small, and so that's it. I think maybe I'm entering phase 3, the philosophical phase. No jokes in that one. Although actually, I'm gonna go away now and look up jokes about philosophers. There's bound to be loads. Or if you've not seen Bill and Ted's Great Excellent Adventure, go and watch that. I might watch that today. Because they get Socrates, and Bill says, "Go on, philosophize with him." All we are is dust in the wind, dude. Dust in the wind. So true. Right, that's me done. You're not going to see me taking the tablets, so I am fine. Thank you for sharing your concern with me. It is always very nice to hear your voices from a distance, just as long as it's not a cacophony, because it's constant bombardment with "please don't feel sympathy for me," whatever you do. Right, have a lovely day. I'm going to try my best to have a lovely day. I'm going to try and fill it full of activities so that I don't get bored, and I'll tell you tomorrow what I've done, apart from having my radiotherapy at 2 o'clock, which is very important. On the table, trousers down, off the table, go home with a small portion of your guts irradiated and dying. So I asked the doctor yesterday, I said, "So is there like a big chunk of me inside now that's just dying and rotting away?" She went, "Yeah." I said, "What happens to all the rotten dead bits?" I said, "Well, basically your body metabolizes them, it just processes them. It's really good at it. So it takes like dead meat, dead human meat, that's you, and it kind of just recycles it. How cool is that? There's no way. I'm back on this flipping AI thing. There is no way on earth we could invent a robot that did that. It would be such a pile of shit. Robots would be arguing with each other. They'd turn into politicians. They wouldn't get anything done at all. Then they'd have a civil war. God knows. And then they'd end up shagging their own little robot babies because they're the prince of a country, and they'd be called Andrew, which is like a kind of robot version of Andrew, isn't it? You don't know what robots are going to do, but I tell you what, they ain't going to do jack shit compared to us. Maybe we are robots. Maybe we're really good robots built by some higher civilization, and they're just watching us play out on this little game board called the Earth. Right, anyway, have a lovely day. Bye.